A woman got turned around at the buffet in a see-through cover-up while 300 people watched. I spent 14 years behind the guest services desk, and that scene played out constantly. Camouflage that gets you fined ashore, a robe that gets you walked back to your cabin, jewelry that makes you a target the moment you leave the ship. These are the 15 outfits I watched cause real trouble, ranked bad to worst. Number 15. The all-formal embarkation outfit, worn from the moment guests step off the taxi at the terminal. This is genuinely one of the most common rookie mistakes I saw across 14 years, and it never once stopped happening no matter how many blog posts warned people about it beforehand. Every single sailing, without fail, someone shows up at the terminal in a full suit or a floor-length dress, dragging 2 suitcases through a security line that can run 90 minutes on a busy Saturday. Embarkation day is casual by design. You're standing in queues, going through metal detectors, sitting through a muster drill on an open deck, and the ship hasn't even left port yet. I watched grown adults nearly overheat in blazers before lunch, sweating through a jacket meant for formal night 4 days away. By the time they finally got to their cabin, they were too drained to enjoy the sail-away party they'd actually dressed up for in the first place. And I'd often see the exact same jacket hanging untouched in the closet for the rest of the week. Say this to yourself before you even pack. Nothing formal until the actual formal night. Here's one that seems harmless until the second night of your cruise, when the temperature suddenly turns against you. Number 14. Heavy fabric with 0 layers packed. Cruise ships run air conditioning aggressively, colder than almost any building you've been in on land, and guests who pack only tank tops and shorts for a hot destination sailing end up freezing through dinner, the theater, and the casino every single night of the trip. I had passengers show up at my desk asking to borrow blankets from housekeeping because they'd left every long-sleeve item at home, absolutely convinced a Caribbean cruise meant only heat, no exceptions needed. Meanwhile, the guests who packed one light cardigan or a simple hoodie never once complained about the cold at dinner, and I noticed the exact same handful of items reappearing in almost every satisfied guest's cabin: cardigan, hoodie, or a simple pashmina draped over the back of a chair. Ask your steward, if I get cold at dinner, is there a blanket I can borrow? And most will tell you the same thing I told hundreds of guests myself, that they hand out more blankets in the Caribbean than they ever do on an Alaska sailing. Right up until you're standing there, soaked through with nowhere left to change, this next mistake looks completely fine. Number 13. All cotton outfits, worn on port and water excursion days. Cotton absorbs water and holds onto it, staying wet and cold for hours once it's properly soaked, and most ropes courses and harness-based activities on ships require you to be completely dry before they'll even let you climb in and clip on. I watched families get turned away from the onboard ropes course because their only remaining dry outfit was soggy denim left over from a splash zone excursion earlier that same morning. Nobody warns you about this detail at booking, and it never occurs to most people until they're standing at the gate being told no. I watched staff offer the same explanation over and over, that harnesses need dry fabric to grip properly and to sit safely against the body, and that wet cotton simply doesn't meet that standard no matter how minor the excursion seemed beforehand. I always told parents the same line at the gate: pack the outfit for the activity, not the outfit for the photo you're imagining. Moving from simple discomfort straight into something that can genuinely put you in the ship's medical center. Number 12. Long, loose skirts and wide-leg pants worn on stairs and gangways. Ship stairwells move subtly with the vessel itself, and gangways shift constantly with the tide, the swell, and the loading ramps working underneath them. Trailing fabric catches on stair edges and gangway lips far more often than most people ever expect, and I personally watched more than one guest go down hard because a hemline snagged at exactly the wrong step during a patch of rough seas. This isn't about looking frumpy, boring, or unfashionable for a week, and it has nothing to do with anyone's personal sense of style. The rule I gave passengers for 14 years never changed. If you're walking stairs today, your hem stops at the ankle, no exceptions, no matter how good it looks in the mirror. Excitement turns into disappointment fast with this next one. Right at the front of the line, watching everyone else move past you toward the fun part. Number 11. Loose flip-flops and slick sole sandals worn absolutely everywhere on the ship. They're perfectly fine sitting still by the pool chair with a drink in hand. They become a genuine physical liability the second you're walking on wet teak decks, tile near the buffet entrance, or outdoor stairs right after a passing rain squall rolls through. I saw the exact same injury pattern repeat itself for 14 straight years. No grip whatsoever on the sole, no free hand on the rail, and usually a drink already occupying the other hand entirely. Add a wet deck after a sudden rain shower, and that combination sends more people to the medical center in a single afternoon than almost any other single cause I can remember. I used to tell people the same thing at the pool bar. Flip-flops for sitting, real tread for walking, and never mix the two up on a wet deck. Almost nobody reads this particular written rule until they're already standing there, quietly embarrassed, because it's less about safety and more about etiquette. Number 10. Open-toe sandals worn to ropes courses, zip lines, and go-kart tracks. Every major cruise line requires closed-toe shoes for these specific attractions, with genuinely zero exceptions made. And I personally watched guests in flip-flops or open sandals get politely but firmly turned away at the gate. Every single time, no matter how much they argued their case with the crew member running it. I watched kids in actual tears because their parents packed only sandals for what they had called a relaxing beach cruise, and completely missed the one activity their kid had been talking about non-stop for 3 straight months beforehand. Some parents tried buying sneakers at the ship's gift shop in a panic, only to find the selection was thin, overpriced, and rarely in the right size for a growing kid. The crew member at the gate isn't being difficult when they say no. They've seen exactly what happens on that equipment in open sandals, and they are not willing to risk it for anyone, regardless of how disappointed a kid looks standing there. Every single week I worked that desk, this exact debate came up, practically without exception. Number 9. Barefoot or sock-only outfits worn indoors anywhere on the ship. Bare feet are explicitly banned in every single indoor public venue on every ship I ever worked. Dining rooms, lounges, the buffet, absolutely all of it. And I promise you it is enforced far more consistently than most guests ever assume it would be. I personally redirected guests back to their cabin for proper shoes more times than I could ever count, always feeling a little sheepish about it myself. And the guest was always genuinely surprised it was an actual written rule, and not just me personally being difficult that evening. The rule exists for hygiene reasons, as much as anything else, since bare feet touching carpet, tile, and upholstered dining chairs create a cleaning problem the ship genuinely has to manage across thousands of guests every single week. I always phrased it the same gentle way at the door: I just need you to grab some shoes before you come back in, and most guests laughed it off once they realized it wasn't personal. Now for the one debate that genuinely came up at my desk practically every single week I worked there, without a single exception. Number 8. Wearing your bathrobe and pajamas to the buffet or other public indoor areas of the ship. The robe belongs in your cabin, out on your balcony, or on the direct walk to the pool, hot tub, or spa. It does not belong at breakfast, full stop. I personally watched a guest at an MSC yacht club get quietly asked to return to her suite and change because she'd walked into the dining venue wearing nothing but her robe over a set of pajamas. It happens constantly across every line I worked for, and it's always the exact same hushed, slightly awkward conversation right at the entrance. usually involving a supervisor being quietly called over because the regular host doesn't want to be the one delivering the news. I never once saw a steward or an officer enjoy that conversation. It was always quiet, always polite, and always slightly uncomfortable for everyone standing nearby who noticed. Nothing about this next mistake has to do with the ship itself. It's entirely about the actual ground underneath your feet once you're in port. Number 7. High heels and unstable shoes worn in tender ports and old town centers. Tender platforms shift with every single wave that rolls through. Cobblestone streets are wildly uneven underfoot, and I watched more twisted ankles happen on port days in historic European towns than almost anywhere else on the entire trip combined, year after year. The elegant, strappy sandals that photograph beautifully back at home are exactly the wrong shoe for a 500-year-old stone pier or a narrow, sloped, cobbled alley. And I watched more than one guest limp back onto the ship holding an ice pack against a swollen ankle purchased from the medical center for a fee that ruined the rest of their week's budget. I started recommending the same thing to every guest before a tender port. Pack the heels in your bag, wear the flats on your feet, and switch once you're safely back on the ship if you still want the photo. An entire excursion day can turn into an actual conversation with local police over this next one, and it happens more often than most people would ever guess. Number 6. Wearing full beachwear directly into conservative or historic port towns. Bikini tops, swim trunks, no shirt at all, walking straight off the tender boat into the old town center like it's simply an extension of the pool deck. Several Mediterranean port towns actively fine tourists for walking through their historic centers in swimwear, and I personally watched groups get stopped by local police for exactly this, mid-walk, phones out, fine issued right there on the spot in front of everyone. This isn't the cruise line's rule at all. It's the town's actual law, and simply not knowing about it in advance doesn't get you out of paying it afterward. I watched the same confused reaction every single time, guests genuinely surprised that a European town could fine them for something perfectly normal back on the pool deck an hour earlier. I always told guests the same thing before a Mediterranean port day. Check what's actually normal in that specific town, not what felt normal on the pool deck an hour earlier. Forget dress codes entirely for this one. It's about quietly making yourself the single easiest target in a crowded market full of strangers. Number 5. Tank tops and short shorts worn on cathedral or mosque excursion days. Religious sites enforce shoulders and knees covered, for men and women both equally, with genuinely no exceptions made for tourists who simply didn't know the rule beforehand. I watched guests turn back at the entrance to sites they'd built their entire excursion day around, sometimes visibly upset, because absolutely nobody told them before they left the ship that morning. Emergency paper shawls sold right outside the door exist specifically because this happens on a near daily basis at every major religious site in the Mediterranean, and I've watched the same small vendor tables do brisk business selling $3 scarves to cruise guests who had no idea they'd need one that morning. I kept the same line ready for years. If there's a church, a mosque, or a cathedral on today's stop, pack the cover-up like it's sunscreen, because you will need it just as often. Now we're past simple comfort and etiquette entirely, and into outfits that actually invite direct security attention from the crew. Number 4. Wearing visible, expensive jewelry in high-theft ports. Diamond necklaces, thick gold chains, luxury watches worn openly while walking through crowded markets, busy train stations, and packed tourist streets. I personally processed the aftermath of chain snatching and pickpocketing incidents far more often than any other single type of port day complaint that ever crossed my desk, and it was always the exact same story every time. Something visibly valuable, worn out in a dense crowd, gone in under 10 seconds flat, usually reported to my desk by a guest who was still shaking, sometimes hours after it happened, once the shock had worn off enough to actually process what occurred. I told this to nearly every guest heading into a market town. The goal today isn't to look wealthy, it's to look like everyone else around you. Embarrassing crosses into genuinely illegal with this next one, and most passengers have absolutely no idea until it's already happened directly to them. Number 3. Drug-themed graphics or aggressively controversial slogans printed on clothing. I'm not talking about people quietly holding their own political opinions in private. I'm talking about shirts loud enough that other guests walk directly to my desk to complain, sometimes multiple different guests in a single sailing about that exact same shirt on that exact same person. Security has full discretion to ask a passenger to change on the spot, and once that particular conversation starts happening in a public hallway, your entire day slows down considerably for everyone involved, including the 2 or 3 other guests who inevitably stop to watch it unfold instead of continuing on to breakfast. My advice never changed in 14 years. If you have to ask yourself whether a shirt might upset someone at the next table, that's already your answer. Number 2. Wearing camouflage clothing in Caribbean ports. Jamaica, Barbados, Antigua, and several neighboring islands ban civilian camouflage print by actual national law, not by cruise line policy, and I personally watched guests get denied entry ashore or sent straight back to the ship over camo shorts they'd packed without giving it a second thought back home. It's legally reserved strictly for military personnel only in these specific destinations, and local authorities enforce that law seriously, sometimes with real fines attached on the spot, and in a handful of documented cases, confiscation of the item entirely before the guest is allowed back through the gate. I said the same thing to guests heading to these ports every single time. Check the color of your suitcase before you check the color of the shirt, because camo patterns hide in more items than people realize, right down to hats and bag straps. And this brings us to the one single outfit choice I watched cause more serious consequences than absolutely anything else on this entire list. No exceptions at all. Number 1. Tactical gear, realistic prop weapons, and costume pieces that closely resemble actual weapons. Vests with holster-style pockets, realistic-looking toy blades packed for a themed night, anything at all that resembles a weapon the moment it hits the X-ray machine at security screening on embarkation day. I watched bags get pulled aside repeatedly, guests get quietly and firmly escorted away from the line, and entire embarkation afternoons completely derailed over a single costume piece that had seemed totally harmless back at home in the suitcase. In more than one case, the item was confiscated outright and never returned, logged, tagged, and gone for the rest of the cruise, regardless of how many times the guest explained it was only ever meant as a joke. Every single sailing, security has to make a judgment call in seconds, and a costume piece that looks fun in your cabin mirror looks completely different under an X-ray machine surrounded by strangers in line behind you. Like and subscribe for more.